Let's go. So like the first half of it, I'm sure you could tell like the part that was written.
Yeah.
And when I started improvising, I don't know if you could tell.
Well, there was some harmony stuff, so I got that was written.
Yeah, and then basically when I roll down the volume,
yeah,
all of that I'm just making
Oh,
up.
okay.
Yeah. But everything before that, it's kind of, yeah, just written stuff.
Well, I think maybe that's the artistry that one of the things we want to talk about, which is the fact that I can't necessarily tell until the harmony guitars kick in. So like, isn't this the eternal question though? How much improv is really improv? Right, like how much of it is really being made up, like on the spot, versus pre-programmed little bits. How much of those things are licks, versus things that feel totally original to you? Like when you're doing that kind of playing, what ratio do you think?
I think most of the stuff. So first of all, most of the licks that I'm playing are all kind of recycled.
Yeah. Kind
of licks that I've played before, but they might be played in different ways. So for example, if I have, I wouldn't really necessarily call it a lick, but let's say I have some type of movement. Let's say I do something like, I can take that same thing and move it to a different kind of scale, to a different position, to different strings. So I'm getting more licks out of that same kind of thing. So I might have a lick that I play all the time, but as I'm improvising, I might go for that movement in a different scale area. So I'll get a completely different sound.
You're talking about position-wise, like on the neck.
Exactly,
right?
Yeah.
So if I'm reading this right, also when you were playing, I feel like you wanted to go this way, but then you were like, oh, I can't go that way because I'm going to hit the thing.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
I could hear the phrases sort of short-circuiting a little bit from where you might want to go, right? And that's my fault. Just for viewers, I will take the heat for that one.
No, it's fine, it's fine.
But that's, so you have these areas kind of, in some sense, are places that you journey to when you're doing this.
Yeah, well, when I'm improvising, I think three things are happening. One is I'm trying to make up a melody on the spot. So as I'm going through my licks and scales and everything, I'm listening to the track and my ears are trying to come up with something that sounds a little bit more musical. In between that, I'm connecting all that using sequences. So just patterns, scale patterns, and most of my scales are just 3 note per string type stuff. And then the third thing is licks, right? Licks that I've played.
Meaning phrases that are sort of memorized.
Yeah, phrases that are memorized, licks that I've been playing forever. But again, they might not necessarily sound the same as stuff I've played before if I'm moving it around. Because as I'm improvising, I'm not really sure what's happening, right? You're just playing on the spot. It's very hard to kind of think. And the fingers are kind of doing what they want, but I'm also trying to use my ears and see what'll sound good.
Right.
But yeah, and I think those three things is what makes up.
So how do you, is that something the fact that you have these 3 modes of sorts, is that something you've realized after the fact, or is this a way that you went about?
No, this is all after. So this is once my students were asking me, they're like, what is happening when you're improvising? Are you actually coming up with everything else? I was like, no. All these licks I've played before Very rarely are you gonna hear something. You know, if I do so when I'm improvising, if I'll play something that I've never played before, I'll stop and I'll be like, whoa, what was that? Let me learn that again. Let me stop everything, and then I'll try and kind of remember that, and maybe build a song out of that, just so I can have that kind of embedded into my fingers.
And that happens sometimes completely unexpectedly.
Yeah,
right?
and usually when I'm improvising. So one of my favorite things to do when I'm practicing is to put on the track, improvise, and then try to do things that I might not normally do, or just kind of just improvise, just have fun. And wherever I mess up, I'll stop the track and I'll practice the thing I was trying to do when I messed up, because that means if I tried to do that while I was improvising, I'll probably try to do it again other times. When I'm saying mistakes, I don't mean hitting a wrong note or like my fingers kind of like fumbling where I'm trying to like slide something and I miss a slide. When I'm saying a mistake, I mean, or not a mistake, but I'm saying if I try to do a lick that I heard on the track that would fit very well, I guess in my mind, I guess before it actually happens, I can tell where I want to take it. So if I try to do something and I mess up completely, let's say I just hear in this area, in this one spot, a massive lick would have sounded really, really cool with like a nice pull-off type of thing and a slide. And I kind of hear that. I guess my mind kind of like organizes that right before I play it. If I go to that as I'm improvising, when I'm practicing, and I completely mess that up, I'll stop and be like, hey, let me see if I can do that again. Let me practice that, because I know next time I'm improvising or any other time, I might try and do that same lick again, but I can't do it because I just messed that up, which means my fingers aren't used to that. So whatever I was trying to do is a little bit new for me.
So that's the process of practice for this, is what you're saying.
Exactly, yeah. If I'm trying to practice improv instead of like speed or other type of stuff.
Right, which is a weird thing to say, right? Practicing being spontaneous.
Exactly. Because is it really spontaneous? You know, just like what you said, like a lot of these licks I've played before. If I improvise for an hour, you're gonna start to hear the same stuff.
Yeah, but that's the artistry of it, though. In your case, is that you weave these things so well that I can't, because I don't know the vocabulary or I haven't listened to hours and hours of you. I can't see the seams, which is the beauty of it.
But so some of my students that have been like with me for years, I've watched everything I put out. They'll tell me on like Skype lessons and stuff. They'll be like, "Oh, so I've noticed there's this one lick you play all the time." I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I didn't even realize I played that, you know." But now that I think about it, yeah. So another thing in those big licks that I'll try to do where I do mess up as I'm improvising, then I'll go back and learn them. Those are built off of smaller licks that I've always played.
Okay. Like what would be an example of something?
So let's say something like it's something I'll probably play all the time, or anything like I'll do right now if I'm just kind of improvising. But let's say I take something like, and let's say I was improvising right now and just want to go, I don't know, and over here, like I was sliding to here, I completely messed it up and I had no idea when my fingers just kind of like, everything just kind of went downhill from there. I'll stop and I'll kind of put that together. But whatever I tried to do here and whatever I had in this position and the way I started it, those small licks are all licks I've played before. Okay. I'm just trying to put them together is probably where I'll mess up as I'm or not mess up, but as I'm improvising, and then I'll slow that down and I'll try and figure out what I can do to just connect the whole thing together.
And where did that one start?
And then over here, when we're sliding up, I had no idea where it was going to go, right? But probably go to the 9. And just figure out a way to connect it nicely.
You knew that was coming?
Nope. No clue.
That's why you get paid the big bucks, man.
No clue.